There's no way in a million years Jake Paul beats me. I'm sorry.
Get rid. What are you trying to be fancying around for? Just get rid.
She was under pressure. We all make mistakes.
He's around 10-1.
Oh! That's a great treble. Here we go. Main event time with Adi Oladipo in association with William Hill. Look at us again in DAZN HQ with the main man, former IBF middleweight champ Darren Barker. That means we're going to talk a bit of boxing. Alex Aldo is going to join us as well to talk a bit of football. We're going to hear from Lee Phelps, getting some betting odds. And to wrap all those things up, right at the end, me and Darren are going to answer some of your questions because I've seen them been flooding in on the timeline. All right, Daz, let's get straight to it, the big one. John Ryder having to go into the hood in Mexico, the hood, Guadalajara, to take on Canelo. Doesn't get tougher than that, does it?
No, it doesn't. Look, John Ryder's been in the Lions Den before, right? But it's not quite Guadalajara. Yeah. When he went to Liverpool, he fought Callum Smith, their hero, and we know how passionate the Scouse fans are, but this is a different kettle of fish. Yeah. This is the fight that the home crowd have been praying for. Yeah. Not been wanting for, they've been praying for. This is their hero. Yeah. This is their national hero coming back to his hometown, his home city, sorry, and taking on the mandatory challenger in John Ryder. It doesn't get much better. I've seen a few interviews with various people, and there was one Junior Jones when he went and fought, I think it was Barrera, and he was saying even though he got splattered, he was still getting abused after the fight. And they were saying, imagine he won. Imagine he won the fight.
I said on my video I did for my YouTube channel, quick plug, and I said that I don't think there's enough security in Mexico to get John Ryder out of Mexico if he wins.
You know what? You're probably not far wrong there. But it doesn't get much tougher. It doesn't.
But then the rewards don't get any bigger. If you to go to Mexico and land one, and we know John's tough. Look, and I said this to someone the other day because they were trying to compare John to an Adney Yildirim when Canelo fought him or Rocky Ford, and I said no, he's above that. I said John's 100%. Above that. I said John for me is a world level fighter. It's just that Canelo's elite level. But have we seen a little slippage from Canelo? Is John maybe better than we think?
Look,
you never know.
If the favourite always won, sport wouldn't be as exciting as it is, and that's certainly the case in boxing. Yeah. It's a tools race. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't be shocked. I know John.
Yes, you would be.
I wouldn't be absolutely blown away. I'd be, it'd be wow, and I'd be over the moon. You know, I know John. I know him as a person, not just as a fighter. I know how tough he is mentally. You know, there was stages in his career, certainly down at middleweight when he lost to Nick Blackwell, when you start thinking, have you reached your level? And then he steps up.
Beat Callum Smith for me, and I think he beat Rocky Fielding.
They're two fights that I think he won. You got to remember the reputation that Callum Smith went into that fight with. It was huge. Yeah. You know, you're talking one of the elite.
It was at the time when Thingy fought him, when he fought Callum Smith. Callum Smith was recognised as the ring number one.
He was
ring number one, super middleweight division.
Going into Liverpool, and he boxed so well. And look, I'm sure at some point we'll talk, quite tactically and technically about this fight, but John has a way of dragging you into his kind of fight.
What scares me about that though? I think that fight that John drags you into is the fight Canelo wants. I think Canelo doesn't mind that dogfight, especially in Mexico where 50,000 are going to be baying for blood. Yeah, they're going to want to see him. Sorry to get graphic here. Take John Ryder's head off. And I think he's going to want what John wants.
But I do think Canelo will be surprised by the physical presence of John. And when he's inside, I used to think it all the time. He used to grab hold of me and he used to slip uppercuts for me. Where's that shot come from? Physically very strong and punches. Look, I was about to say harder than his records suggest, but of late, I think of his last 9 fights, 6 of those have come by.
We're now starting to see him sit on his punches a bit more as well.
The right hook, he's been so dangerous to that. I think Patrick Nielsen and Akaway in Vegas, he showed that lead right hook is such a dangerous weapon. Look, like you say, quickly on Canelo, when I've seen him against southpaws, and most recent, I think Lara a few years ago, didn't look great. I think Billy Joe Saunders at times was a little bit head scratching, but you've got to remember those two fighters were moving an awful lot. John won't do that. This is a different kind of southpaw, and like you said, that's the kind of fight Canelo probably wants. But John and Tony Sims, his coach,
is
strength and conditioner, Dan Lawrence. They've done wonders with John, and I'm sure they'll come up with what they think is a very good game plan. And like you say, you never know. Is Canelo enjoying life a little bit too much? I would. If I had the money and all the achievements that he has, I probably would be taking my foot off the gas a little bit.
If it was in Vegas, I'd give John a bigger chance. I was trying to work out a percentage chance for John, and I didn't want to be disrespectful. And I wasn't. It's just because he's fighting a pound for pound, top 4, top 5. And if it was in Vegas, I feel like Canelo maybe could take the eye off it a little bit, like I saw him do against Bivol. In Mexico?
Is this a different kind of pressure though for Canelo?
I think it's a pressure he enjoys.
Yeah,
I think he really does. He loves it. Yeah, he's like, come on, you think you're going to beat me in my hometown, in Mexico?
But like you said at the top of the interview, that's the one place, John would want to beat Canelo anywhere. Yeah. But if he could choose where he beats Canelo, it'd be in his hometown.
Would it be bigger? I think it would be. I'll answer the question first, actually. I think this would be bigger than Andy Ruiz beating AJ.
Yeah.
What are we talking? Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas? Bear in mind what he's doing. It's
right
there, isn't it?
Right up there.
It's bear in mind what he's trying to do.
Yeah. Right up there. And I say that because the two examples you've given there is heavyweight boxing, and anything can happen. You get caught by a heavyweight, it can be curtains. But this is right up there. This is, Lloyd Honeyghan, Don Curry in Atlantic City. That at the time, that was huge.
Yeah, for you youngsters, do your Googles. Yeah. Do your Googles.
Yeah, that was massive. Yeah. This is right up there. One of the biggest. But you got to remember, I just know John. I know his character. He won't be overawed. He understands the magnitude of this task. Don't get me wrong. He knows it don't get much tougher. It's the toughest fight for him out there.
Yeah.
But.
You know that Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other? Because I've always looked at John, because John looks like Canelo, doesn't he? Yeah. He's got the same kind of build as Canelo. And it's funny actually, when they did the face-to-face, I couldn't believe John was bigger. Because I actually think John's a small super middleweight. I know Canelo is as well, but when they did the face, I was like, well, John's actually bigger than Canelo.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Me and Darren fly out for it in a couple of days. Not to get you jealous or anything. We just fly out.
We are.
Don't get jealous. Don't get jealous. We're out there with Jessica McCaskill. Should be a fun one covering the fight. Big fight. Canelo versus John Ryder. Undisputed super middleweight titles on the line. Can we see one of the biggest upsets of all time? Darren Barker thinks, percentage-wise, something could happen.
Well, it is boxing. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Look, Canelo is a massive favourite in this, and rightly so. But this is boxing.
You've experienced this. You went to Germany and fought Felix Stern.
Yeah.
So you went to a backyard. Even that, though, won't be as hostile as this.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Just you lost that fight, by the way.
Cheers, mate.
He lost his fight. Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
But he made a lot of money. He made a lot of money.
Prize fight.
Yeah, isn't it? All right, live on DAZN pay-per-view this weekend, Canelo versus John Ryder. Let's talk about the undercard. You always can get carried away, can't you, with the main event? You forget the undercard sometimes. I think chief support will be Martinez versus Batista, which should be an interesting one. Julio Cesar Martinez is, I'm going to politely say this, a crazy one. He's a crazy man, honestly. In the ring, out the ring, everything. But you know, he brings entertainment as well. So I fully understand why they've got him as co-main for this one.
Yeah, he's an animal. Yes. He's a big punching animal. No nonsense. So as soon as you see his name on the card, whatever card it may be, you're buzzing.
Yeah,
you are, because you know it's going to be a very good fight. Yeah. Look, he destroyed. I think he first jumped on the scene when he beat Andrew Selby for us back here in the UK, and then he followed that up. I mean, look, he was beating Charlie Edwards. I think he hit him with a body shot when he was down.
Yeah, bit naughty.
And then look, there was a couple of wins, and he steps up to Superfly to fight the great Roman Gonzalez. And look, he come up short. He was completely outclassed by a legend. Yeah. And there's no shame in that. He moved up the weight. He took, I think, the fight short notice. And
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that he's got the kahunas to do that. Yeah.
There's
I remember
no
Canelo screaming ringside. And I was like, well, he's in there against Chocolatito.
Yeah.
He's going to struggle. But there are fights in and around this weight class now that we want to see happen. Sonny Edwards now, obviously, hooked up with Matchroom DAZN. Bam Rodriguez as well, who can jump from light flyer to superfly. So if he does win on Saturday, and this is not looking past Batista, but if he does win, there are big fights out there for him.
Massive fight.
You're right, massive fights.
Massive fight. Look, I expect him to get past Batista, who is a decent fighter, never fought away from home. He's quick on his feet, he's got quick hands, but I feel Martinez will just get to him. That higher level experience will, and I mean the fact that he can knock out anybody, probably middleweights even. He's that big of a puncher.
Yeah. Let's hope he makes weight.
Yeah, let's
hope he makes weight. There's always been that. Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, the Sonny Edwards can avenge his brothers.
I like that. It's like an old school kickboxer movie.
Yeah,
one of those ones. It is like that. Yeah.
And Bam as well.
Yeah.
Bam, I think he's going to be out for a little while, isn't he, with a broken jaw. But yeah, I mean, for one of the lighter divisions, there's some big fights to be made.
It certainly is. Fight of the night for me now. Book it. I'm telling you now. Is Vosdik versus Bolotniks.
Yeah, I like that fight.
It's just a fight I never pictured, and reasons were because Vosdik retired after that loss against Beterbiev. He came back recently with a 6-rounder. He's going straight in with a top light heavy when I think maybe he needs one more, but look, why hang around? Bolotniks, we've watched him, we've commentated on these fights before. He was supposed to fight Craig Richards on the undercard of AJ versus Jermaine Franklin. That got pulled. Richards got injured. He gets this shot on a Canelo card. This is a great fight. This is a good one.
Yeah. Vosdik is... And he's an animal. Yeah. He was just beaten by a better animal in Beterbiev. You know, he was.
No, he met himself. Just scarier.
Yeah. I mean, it was was it 10th, 11th round?
Yeah.
There's no, you know, absolutely no shame in that. And then didn't fight. I think was it for 3 years, or something like that. And he's had a 6-rounder. He's back. He's 36 now. Bolotniks, I think it's been over a year since he fought. We was in. I think it was Spain somewhere,
wasn't it? Yeah.
And he fought 11-0 Ryder UPSET, who, you know, good amateur, good pedigree, and he beat him comfortably. He's a danger man. He's awkward. He's dangerous with the right hand. We see how he recovered after getting dropped against Boatsy in the 6th round. He fired back, and you start thinking, hold on a minute,
dangerous.
This is a really hard fight now. But Boatsy got the job done late in the fight. Yeah, I can't see anything but fireworks in this one. I just think first round.
I'm telling you now, it's going to be carnage straight away.
I think so.
It's going to be. It's funny because you've got 2 Europeans who the Mexican fans are going to love.
Oh, they're going to
love. Because it's going to make a Mexican fight, isn't it? It's actually it's a Mexican fight.
It could steal the show. It could steal the show in this as far as entertainment value. I just feel centre of the ring. They're going to let bombs go. Both dangerous with the right hand. Don't blink. One of those.
Don't blink, indeed. Look, good undercard fights. Obviously, the main event is the one that everyone's going to tune in for. Canelo back in his home country, back in his hometown, taking on John Ryder. All right, enough boxing chat for a while. Although I can't wait to the weekend. Really, really big fight. But what I want to focus on now is a bit of football. Who better than Alex Aljo? By the way, fresh off the private jet from Portugal to talk football with us.
Had to get here in time.
Got to do what you got to do to be on the main event. Let's start with the Women's Champions League. We hoped for an all-English final. We hoped for an English team to get there. Yeah.
So disappointing for Arsenal. They did so well though, didn't they? So many positives for them to take. So much fight in that squad, missing so many key players, and then ultimately just came down to a mistake, didn't it, at the end?
Yeah, big mistake as well. Big mistake. You just got to get rid of it. Get rid. What are you trying to be fancying around for? Just get rid.
She was under pressure. We all make mistakes. But let's focus on another positive from that. Record attendance, 60,063
By the way,
Emirates.
It's insane, isn't it, though? I know we like to talk about it a lot. I think me and you spoke about it last week as well. We'll talk about Chelsea, Barcelona, because, again, massive attendance at Camp Nou.
72,000.
60,000 at the Emirates. On a weekday.
Yep.
I mean, you've got to applaud. I think you've got to applaud a couple of things. A, the support, but the way in which Arsenal are pushing it as well. I've always had my my bugbears with some of these professional clubs not pushing it enough. Like, I've always thought, I want to mention a couple of clubs. I think Liverpool don't push Liverpool ladies. I think Man United don't do the same thing either. Arsenal push. Arsenal push, and I think it's shown. 60,000 in there is impressive.
And it's what we said last week as well. We need to get to the point where no longer we're sat here saying it's impressive, it's amazing, it's a sellout for a women's game. And yeah, it was 72,000 at the Nou Camp as well, which I don't think necessarily helped Chelsea.
No.
Because most of them obviously Barcelona fans, but Chelsea did really well as well. They got absolutely thrashed by them in 2021, 1-1. They responded 4 minutes after Barcelona scored. Guro Reiten, who's been brilliant, she was superb in both legs. So lots of positives for Emma Hayes' side. Obviously really disappointing. We'd have wanted to see at least one English team in the final, but now it's Barcelona, Wolfsburg, 3rd of June in Eindhoven. Should be an absolutely brilliant final.
Where you going, Barcelona?
Barcelona.
Yeah. Yeah,
Barcelona. They'd won their last 19 games in Europe, though, before Chelsea held them to that draw. So.
I think that's what they call form.
Form?
Yeah, that's what they call
but
form.
Barcelona win.
Yeah,
but also, Alexia Putellas is back. She was on the bench. She didn't come off.
Best player in the world, by the way.
Maybe saving her for the final.
Best player in the world. I know people that best player in the world. Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're saving her.
Yeah.
It was interesting. She was on the bench but didn't come off. Mm. But I think she'll play in the final. Maybe she'll make the difference.
Yeah, and that final, obviously live and exclusive on DAZN. Yes. Yeah, a little plug there for you. Let's talk about the Premier League. Leeds have always all of a sudden decided that Gracia is not good enough. Mm-hmm. We're going to get Sam Allardyce in the building.
Allardyce.
He's got 4 games.
A 7-figure bonus.
Is that what it is?
Keeps them up. Yeah. 4 games left. Tough games. Man City away.
Why does everyone think that? Why does everyone think he can still do this? Like, when does it stop? Like, okay, Sam Allardyce can't do this anymore. Like, why does everyone think that? I think they think Sean Dyche is like that. I mean, look how Everton are struggling. Why does everyone think that Sam Allardyce
and Roy
can come in? Yeah. And just turn it around. Roy's done well, hasn't he?
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant job.
Do you think Sam Allardyce can keep him in the Premier League?
It's a tough ask, isn't it? And if you look at those 4 games as well, they're difficult games.
What do you got? They got Man City, Newcastle, West Ham, Spurs.
Yeah. Spurs last game of the season. Yeah, I think Leeds are going down.
Your Leeds are going down?
Yep. Southampton, Leeds and?
Everton.
Yeah?
Yeah. I actually think it's Southampton, Forest, Everton, but I think Forest are going to go down. Yeah.
Southampton have Forest at the weekend as well.
Yeah. If it's Southampton, Leeds and Everton, no disrespect to Southampton because they're a massive club, but Leeds and Everton going down from the Everton, who've just built this wonderful new stadium.
They haven't built it yet, have they? But
they might stop building it.
Yeah, enough of that. Enough of that.
Okay, that over there is a car park for the local shopping centre because it's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy. But
good to see Calvert-Lewin back. He played really well against Leicester.
It's just too late, isn't it?
Too little, too late.
Too little, too late.
You saying that?
Yeah, it is. The Sean Dyche thing hasn't worked. I don't know how it's not worked, but it's not worked. So yeah, I think Everton will be playing Championship football. All right, Alex Aljo, as always. By the way, this is just water in here, by the way. For those of you that think this is beer or Red Bull or vodka, I wish. It's just plain old water. We'll see you on the next one. All right, we've had Alex Aljo come and talk all things football. Darren Barker's joined us as well to talk big boxing. Darren Barker's going to join us, by the way, to stick with us. He's going to join us for the Q&A at the end of the show. Lee Phelps joins us from William Hill to get the latest odds. Let's start with boxing, Lee. Let's start with the big one this weekend in Mexico, Canelo versus Ryder. I think Canelo is a massive, massive favourite. But this is boxing. Anything can happen. What chances do the bookmakers give of Ryder causing the upset?
Well, he's 7-1, which isn't the biggest price we've ever seen in the world of boxing. But yeah, Canelo is a 14-1 on favourite here. So, in his hometown, we've seen what he's done to British boxers in the past, haven't we? 7 British boxers he's faced. He stopped one of them really early. That was Rocky Fielding. 4 of them have gone into the second half of the fight but have been stopped, and 2 have gone the distance. That was Matthew Hatton way back in 2011, and a decade later, 2021, Callum Smith did the same. I guess the question here is, can John Ryder do what those 2 did and go the distance? Now, some people think he beat Callum Smith, remember, went the distance with Smith. So if you like your collateral form, then he should be able to, but there's just something about that home crowd. I mean, you've experienced some incredible crowds at boxing, but this one in Guadalajara will be just something else. Partisan won't be the word, and I think Canelo will stop him. I think that crowd will spur him on to stop Ryder, who has been stopped before in his career.
Yeah, I think it just gives him an extra 20%, and it's scary to think what an extra 20% can do to someone that I think still pound for pound top 3 or top 4. Just before we let you go, Lee, I love an acca, although my accas always seem to fall at the first hurdle. Anything there, any tips you got for us? Any acca that I can build to make a couple of quid?
Well, I think there's a few around this weekend. I think because there's some prices that are bigger than you'd expect, but the 3 I'm looking at are Bournemouth, who are 3-1 at home to beat Chelsea. We know what Chelsea have been about recently, the problems they've had scoring in particular. Bournemouth obviously got a great result against Leeds United, and they have to keep winning to stay in this division. I think they've got more to play for. Bournemouth to win. The other one I like is Newcastle to beat Arsenal. I think they're on a crest of a wave. I think Arsenal are fragile at the moment. That's around 11-8. And I'm going to chuck one in there that is absolutely, you think, cannot lose, and that is Manchester City at home to Leeds United. You know, I know Leeds United is making changes, but Manchester City are a juggernaut. Those three together, Bournemouth, Manchester City, and Newcastle, is around 10-1.
Oh!
I like it.
That's a great treble. That is absolutely fantastic. Lee, as always, my man, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Oh, those are the latest odds with William Hill. Remember, begambleaware.org. Stick with us, because when we come back, Darren Barker's going to rejoin us, because we're going to answer some of your questions. All right, the final part of the show. This is the best bit I like, because we ask you to send your questions in, and you do hashtag #AskAddy, and we read them out. We read out every single question. And I don't fence it with my answers, by the way. I'm like, yeah. I don't know what that means, but
Am I asking you the question?
No, we're going to read them. They've been sent in, so we're going to read them. And you're going to answer as well.
Right.
As honest as possible.
Go on.
Yeah? Ready? The first one's come in. What do you think of Josh Taylor's chances in his next fight? Josh Taylor takes on Teofimo Lopez very, very soon. A long time out the ring for me, which might not see him at his best, especially with a new trainer also. Good points.
Well, look, I'll start with Joe McNally, his new coach. Brilliant coach, knows his boxing inside out, was a very good boxer himself, good amateur. And it seems, from the videos I've seen, the clips I've seen, seems like they've gelled instantly. And it's a very good pairing, what I believe Josh needs to really push him on now. Hasn't fought since February last year.
Crazy.
In that very controversial fight.
And he's a big 140.
Yeah.
It's a big 140.
I think it's a very good fight. We know how good Lopez is. It's a great fight.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a very good fight.
I am concerned of the trainer switches all the time. I understand what happened with the McGuigans. We're not going to get into that. Then Ben Davis.
Was it
and now another trainer.
three in a year or something like that?
Mate, the idea of switching trainers and a
More
new trainer.
more trainers than JD Sports. No, look, I think it's a very good fight. It's a very good fight. One that I will certainly be watching. For me, toss of a coin.
Yeah, I think Josh should win.
I don't feel like I'm sitting on the fence because I genuinely can't.
No, you are. We said no fencing.
Yeah, but
at the start of the show, I said no fencing. Josh Taylor.
Look, do you know what? I will go Josh Taylor. Do you know why? Because I think there's a lot of self-doubt at the minute with Teofimo Lopez. You see him at the end of the fight with Sandor Martin saying, have I still got it? You know, I think there might be some demons that he needs to exercise. This might not be the right fight for him to exercise those demons. So,
good fight.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with,
good fight.
I'm going
I don't know why it's in America.
I'm going Josh.
Yeah, quick mode. I don't know why this fight is in America in the Hulu Theatre, MSG, which is like 5,000 seater. Look, it's a great venue to be in, but why not over here? One AO Arena, 13,000. Don't tell me Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez can't sell out over here. Has to be. Disappointing. Our next question, $1 million question, this one. Why aren't we seeing Crawford versus Spence?
Promoters, networks, money, greed, power.
All the above.
All of those. All of those. But I am confident that, you know, look.
We've been saying,
it was a
what you're about to say now, we've been saying for 5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm confident that by the end of the year,
it might not change. But we got Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. We got that fight. We're talking different networks there. We're talking different promoters. It happened.
Yeah.
And I think if the fighters want the fight, I think that's the most important thing. If they want the fight and they're not greedy and they're realistic with their valuation of themselves, then the fight should happen. And I think that is probably the stumbling block with this fight, is just what they feel their worth is. And I think they'll get there in the end. But if it's money, I think eventually
they'll come and realise.
They'll be like, okay, I'll accept that. You've got to remember, these are two exceptionally good fighters right up there in the rankings, pound for pound. Egos get involved then, and you want to be outdoing the other guy. But if I think you get to a 50-50 split, which I think is fair, then
maybe
the fight will happen.
Yeah.
Look, you heard it here. The fight will happen. That fight will happen.
All right, Darren, would you get back in the ring with an influencer? Would love to see it. Would you though? I know we've joked about you and Jake Paul before, but would you do it?
Yeah, I think.
Do you think you can get in shape enough to do 5 rounds?
To be honest,
you think you right now could do 5 3-minute rounds?
No.
Okay.
No.
And you look in great shape. So
yeah, I'm not in bad shape. I'm not that fit, but I would do it. I'd like to, because I understand it's not proper boxing. And there's no disrespect there. It's the WWE side of things.
So far in front of them, technically, yeah.
There's no way in a million years Jake Paul beats me. I'm sorry. I've been out the ring 10 years. I've not thrown a punch in 10 years. He doesn't beat me. It's a fact, right? Okay, I'm always going to back myself. I'm always going to bag myself, but he don't beat me. He doesn't beat me. KSI doesn't beat me.
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. Sorry, I haven't done this for 2 minutes. No, I haven't done it for 10 years. I grew up with boxing. I can't remember life without getting punched in the face.
But is there an element of you're just too old and they're too young and fresh?
Probably, but I'm still going to back myself. They don't beat me. Jake Paul don't beat me.
There's the call out we wanted. All right, what's the biggest fight that can be made in boxing? Obviously, look, we're hearing that Garcia done 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. You know what made me laugh? I said this on my YouTube channel. So I said on my YouTube channel, I think the fight's done 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. Ryan Garcia quoted it and said, source, Adi Oladipo. I'm like, well, I'm not the source. I'm not the source. I heard it from someone on YouTube. But that's the
biggest fight for me.
Yeah.
AJ Fury, AJ Wilder.
Yeah. AJ Wilder, I think, would do incredible numbers.
Can you imagine the energy before that first bell? Honestly, visualize that energy just before that first bell.
I can't.
Because you're not blinking. I'm telling you, you are.
You don't normally blinking. Sometimes ringside. It's true that sometimes people on their phones having a look down, talking to each other. This is the one where you're like that, aren't you? You're like that. You're like that. You're nervous. That there.
Yeah, they're, without a shadow of a doubt. And then for the real boxing purists, you've got Crawford Spence. But I think to captivate everyone in the, almost in the world of sport, but everyone who really likes their sport is going to tune in to AJ Wilder, AJ Fury.
Have you heard what I've called AJ Wilder? Have you heard the name?
Go on.
Chaos in Lagos.
Oh, you told me.
Take it now.
I'm all about that.
Take it now. Take it now.
You say?
Take it now. Wilder done his DNA.
Yeah.
You did your DNA test, yeah? I did mine.
Go on.
100% Nigerian. How boring is
really?
That? 100%.
Yeah.
I was like, nothing else. I just wanted something else to go on. All right, it's been fun anyway. Remember, get your questions in #AskAde and we'll answer them next week. And talking about next week, obviously we're off to go and watch Canelo versus John Ryder. And when we come back, we'll dissect that. Could be win, could be incredible win for either man.
Can't wait.
Like the show next week could be, it's always going to be good, but it could be special.
Yeah.
Like John could be here with us. Like, John could be here with us next week with all his gold.
Well, there could be a cardboard cut out of John. Do you know what I mean? That one gets moved
away.
My
God, imagine you throw that one down and John's up there.
Yeah.
It could happen. I was going to do that, then I realised he pays my bills. We're not doing that. We're not doing that now. We'll see you next week. Cheers.